I think I was also challenged because everyone was like, oh, wait until you have kids. You can just say bye to the gym. So I think that kind of in the back of my mind was like, wait until I prove you wrong.
This week, we're peeling back the layers with Bana Jamil, devoted wife, mom of three, respiratory specialist, fitness and health enthusiast.
There was nothing happening at 4 a.m. except me and the gym to picking some creatine. It's a low-hanging fruit. It's no calories added. I like to eat, so I like to eat most of my food. And then for women, as we age, I'm learning more and more about that's really the right thing. I don't really follow organic label as much. I don't think it's as regulated as it should be. I think our Food and Drug Administration is pretty well aware of and they allow it from that. So I always say, respect the food, sit down for it, don't just grab it. So just small things like that. And then...
In your opinion, what do you think is the most important aspects to longevity?
I think I would have to highlight
Balancing a bustling career, 3 kids, and a fitness routine that starts before dawn might sound like a superhero's job, but Bana shows us it's entirely possible. Tune in for tips on managing it all without missing a beat or a workout. Bana, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
we can just get started as it is. The first thing I wanted to ask you actually was how you got started in your whole fitness and health lifestyle.
Uh, Thanks for having me, first of all. I can talk about health and fitness all day. I think I got really more strictly into it after I had kids. Before then, it was mostly hobby. I would drop into a gym whenever I felt like it. I went whenever I wanted to. And it was pretty frequent. Like university had the gym, and I went to another program, they had a gym. I lived in a condo, they had a gym. So it was pretty convenient. I just drop in, didn't count, nothing. But once I had kids, then I was very pressured for time. And I think I was also challenged because everyone was like, oh, wait until you have kids. You can just say bye to the gym. So I think that kind of in the back of my mind was like, wait until I prove you wrong. So I think that really got me to be very strict. So I found the routine that worked best after I returned to work from mat leave, which was to go before work. So that was totally at my own clock, not the kids, not the family, not the cooking, nothing. There was nothing happening at 4 a.m. except me and the gym to be a better me for the rest of the day. And then once I got into that routine, now I have to force a day off, really. So it's just a habit. Don't have to think about it. It's like brushing your teeth.
That's admirable because a lot of people they'll use that as the excuse, right?
Yeah,
But
because kids are an excuse. It's hard. It's full time.
yeah,
You work full time. Then you have three. That's three full time and another full time job. And then if I count the husband, that's 4 kids. But yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people will use that as an excuse, and it is a valid one to a degree. It's tough, especially if they're little and if they're all in
uh,
different activities, etc. With respect to juggling all the kids, as far as like time management and things like that, so you find the most effective time for you is really early. Is that still the case?
yeah, it's still happening. Now that the kids are bigger, I can get workouts with them. Like they're pretty strong and they're interested and they think it's cool. And so I go for a run, but I don't really count that. It's more fun. I'm more entertaining them and pushing them and working on them as opposed to me. But my very me time is 4 a.m. standing. And then mat leave, I used to do workouts at home. I did use an app that helped me a lot back then. I bought a bunch of stuff from Kijiji at home and I just used anything and everything, including like lifting the baby. And I think that's when I actually went into becoming a personal trainer. And I did train people during that time. But that was very specific to the mat leave year where I wasn't going to work, just mat leave, baby, and fitness.
What app did you use?
A Nike Training Club. Have
Nike,
you heard of it?
Nike,
Yeah,
the
it's by
company.
Nike. Like it's
Oh,
called
oh, no,
Nike Training Club.
no,
Yeah,
no, I never have.
yeah, it's very cool. It has videos, it has instructions, it corrects common errors that people tend to do, and it times you, it tells you to switch. I haven't used it in years, it's probably changed now, but I'm sure it's changed for the better. So if anyone's at home, I recommend usually to anyone that asks me to use that if they don't want to go to a gym.
I want to go all the way back to the very beginning. So let's say, as a child, for example, were you a very active kid?
I
Um,
grew up in Iraq until I was a teenager, and there was no extracurricular activities. The most adventurous you could get was climb trees, and I did that. I climbed trees. We played tag, jump rope. That was it. There was not much else happening. I would say I was more on the active side than the other kids. I would always be like, let's play chase, let's do something, but didn't think of it as, of course, fitness or anything. I was just natural, I think, but nothing like no sports or anything like that. And then, like, I've just enjoyed fitness. I always wanted to swim, but there was no pools or anywhere we could go. And then the first thing I did when I moved to Canada was go to the YMCA and learn to swim. And then it just started from there. I ended up going to a karate class for a few sessions then, and it that ended because the teacher was gone. And then it was just on my own from there, just doing fitness stuff. I thought was fun. I think the real challenge was when I became a mom. That was when I was like, okay, I do have to dedicate and go out of my way to make this happen because otherwise it will just be stalled there. And so I think that's when my 4 a.m. recipe and it just pays off
Now,
ongoing.
now 4 a.m. is really early. I'm an early bird myself, but I don't even wake up till about 5 or 6 these days. So to know that you're working out at 4 a.m., that means you're waking up at what time?
Yeah, I wake up at 4, but I start my gym at 5. So I brew a
Ah, okay,
coffee,
okay, okay. Gotcha,
grab my
gotcha, gotcha.
stuff,
That's still
drive.
impressive. That's still very impressive though.
That's
4
why I'm so impressive too. So good for you. That's pretty good. I start work at 6:30. So I'm at work, changed, working at 6:30. So that's why the 4 a.m. has to be. Otherwise, I would have done 5 too, or whatever works before work.
How long are your workouts?
I aim for an hour, but yeah, about a good 50 minutes
50 minutes.
usually.
What does your typical workout look like, or your workout split with respect to resistance and
So
cardio and all those things?
every day it's like a new canvas to paint on. Is how I think of it. So Mondays I usually go. So I do a lot of lifting. So I like lifting weights. I think that's where I find what I enjoy the most. And then for women, as we age, I'm learning more and more about that's really the right thing to do and to follow and to focus on with it in terms of longevity and with the hormones. As women reach menopause, you lose muscle mass exponentially. So if you don't counter that pre-menopause, then you're really behind. So I'm trying to avoid all of that. So I focus a lot on weightlifting. So my morning sessions are all weightlifting. Ideally, they say you should be doing 80% zone 2 cardio and 20% lifting, but I think I do my focus is mainly on weightlifting. Whatever cardio I get would be with the kids. So if we're going to the track to run or chase game or riding our bikes or swimming in the lake, that would be the cardio, but I don't count that. So my focus is really on weightlifting. So Mondays is when I start usually every week. Off on weekends, I do leg days. So that's where bigger muscle groups, the heavier lifts, you get the most heart rate spikes. So I do weights and lower body. So by Tuesday, Wednesday, most likely I'm pretty sore on the lower body. So that's when I say, okay, what's left that's not sore I can focus on. Aside from 5 minutes of warm up, then Tuesday would likely be upper bodies, lat pull downs, bicep, triceps, shoulders. And I don't do as much abs. I find most of my workouts involve working abs. So if I do, it would be once in a while, 5 minutes at the end where I'm just ab focused. But I do a lot of dead hangs, monkey bars with leg raises. So I guess if you count that, I that would be my ab focus. But the rest would be upper body, lower body, back, chest, and then I just go from there. And then Friday, if I have anything that it's not sore, I would work on. And then if I have a day where, and then once in a while I'll throw a HIIT session if I'm pressed for time. So if I'm late and I only have 20 minutes, then I would do a HIIT there. And sometimes I find if I've gone for a run with the kids and I've done a heavy lifting in the morning, then the next day I would say, I need to clear some metabolites. I'm going to have to force myself not to wake up at 4, then my alarm would be 5:20. So I turn off the first alarm and wake up to the second one. So that's a forced day off once in a while. Depends on how I've done my training. And then I enjoy powerlifting, so I try to learn and about it as I go. Lots of YouTube videos, books, resources from library. YouTube is very helpful. So I mean, nobody needs to go look for books. I just like to have quiet time in the evenings where I can, wind down. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah, just for people that don't know, HIIT is high HIIT, high
Yeah.
intensity interval training. Do you have an example of a type of HIIT workout that you do?
If I'm at the gym, I would do so it'd be 20 seconds of lower intensity, still intense workout, and 40 seconds of a higher intensity workout. So, for example, for someone of my conditioning level, my lower intensity would be a jump rope, for example. So I do 20 minutes of jump rope, and then for seconds, sorry, 40 seconds, 20 seconds. So that's a 40. So 40 seconds, I would do like a slat push at the gym, push and pull, and then 20 seconds, I would do jump rope, and then the next one. So I would put in four things where I can rotate, and I have an interval timer app that I use with a headset. So it will beep every 40 seconds, and then I jump to the next exercise, and then next 20 seconds, I would do a jump rope, and then I rotate it. If you're at home, you can do anything from burpees to squats to body weight, hold a plank. So whatever is hard for you. So you want to go all out for the 40 seconds, and then the 20 seconds would be a lower intensity exercise, whether it's like a brisk walk, or if you're super fit, then run or sprint and so on. So you want to target a heart rate according to your age. And
And how long is the actual HIIT session?
you can do anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, but I usually, for me, it would be a 20 minute would be ideal if I can. If I'm 15 minutes, I would go to the gym and do 15 minutes a hit and then leave. It would be like the last one who comes and the first one who leaves, but I still go and do it at 15 minutes of hit.
How many times a week do you incorporate HIIT into your?
Once in a while, it's not regularly. I like to go once a week if I can, but
Okay,
it takes a lot. It's You need 48 hours to recover from this. It doesn't sound very hard, but it's actually
it's
very
exhausting. Trust
intense.
me, I know.
Yeah.
I do them a lot. They take everything out of me.
Things I'm not conditioned for. I'm the same. So the most fun one I came up with was once there's a Jacob's ladder, which I think we spoke about at the gym.
Yep, I love
So
it.
I went 40, I had to do a little bit longer because there was a commute. So I did about a minute on the Jacob's ladder. And then I ran out, went to the sauna and did crunches for a half a minute. And then it beeped and went back. So I did it back and forth. It was really fun. I was sweating because the sauna, the warmth, and then do abs there and then come on the Jacob's ladder. So that
That's
was really
cool.
fun.
I love the Jacob's ladder. The only thing that sucks there is if somebody takes it, then you're like, oh man, somebody took my machine.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone at the 5 a.m. session.
I,
It's not
no,
mine.
nobody likes that machine. Nobody likes that machine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Typically, how long do you sleep for?
I sleep really well. I go anywhere from last night, I didn't get much because it was a weekend. We had a party and I overdosed on cheesecake. So I got to bed and at almost midnight. So I got 4 hours of sleep, which is not ideal. You really should prioritize sleep. So tonight I'm looking forward to how I can get the kids to go to bed at 7, which would probably not happen. So I'll end up going by myself. But I do like to aim for about 7 hours on average if I can.
7 hours.
Sometimes I get less, and if I do on the weekend, I'll make up for it and get like a nice 9 hours sleep.
So
I have
seven
no
hours.
problem falling asleep. It's just I have to get to bed with all I do.
And do you have an evening routine or some kind of a ritual to get you to that I'm out, I'm asleep? Do you have a
So
ritual or is it just a habit kind of thing now?
I think because I think the gym is really helps me to by the 8 o'clock hour, I'm ready to sleep. I can sleep no problem. I do take magnesium supplement. I think that's a nice. I think we all probably should could use it. And I just hot shower, grab a book. By the second page, I'm out.
I'm the
So
same.
that's really it. Lights down. No, trying to limit phone time at the later hours.
Yeah, and I'm just like you. I use that more so not to read because I read during the day, but it just helps me knock out pretty quickly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page for a week. Can we get into your morning routine? Is there any specific sequence you do things in the morning?
So I do all my prepping at night. So before bed, so I do meals, kids' lunches. There's That's 4 of us. So I do all of that. Like really important. If I don't pack food, I'm not eating. Basically, like I wouldn't. Once in a while, of course, but so for most part, and then so in the morning the only thing I do is brew coffee. So I do have coffee on empty stomach, which I hear some people disagree, saying that it's not ideal for the gut microbiome. For me it seems okay. I don't have heart disease, heartburn or anything like that. So aside from brewing coffee, getting dressed, grabbing my bag, my gym bag lives in the car, so I don't have to grab the gym bag, which contains a bunch of things like resistance bands that I use, a jump rope, extra pair of socks, weightlifting shoes, just whatever that you think you would use. If you shower at the gym, which I used to do, I used to have a towel, my go small shampoo bottles and creams and all that stuff. I would have a second set that lived in the gym bag, and that way I'm not grabbing things. Everything is ready. It's in the car. or wherever you put your bag, or if you take the bus, you just grab your bag and go. So all that stuff is mindless, ready to go. And so I just grab my lunch, brew coffee, and drive. Just wake up to an alarm.
I think that's really smart, and that's something I also started doing, the prepping the night before, as far as packing my bag and even knowing what I'm going to be working on. For the most part, I try to operate
Yeah,
that way. Sometimes I just go with the
yeah,
flow, but I find that
yeah,
things just
yeah.
go smoother when I have a plan, at least
Plan.
for the week, and that's
Yeah,
lined up with my goals.
yeah.
So that's really good. So would you say it's a meal prep that you do for the week or just for the day? You prep all your meals?
No, it's mainly for the day. On weekends, I make things like meatballs that I freeze, or get all the fruits and vegetables and a lot of the groceries. But I still have to go like another couple of times in the day. But I do either cook in the evening or on. I have it if I prep in the weekend, it will be in the freezer. But I cook it as we go, and then I prepare. Usually, my lunches or breakfast is left over from the dinner that I pack into Tupperware and take it. I eat a lot of the same thing most days that I pack food.
Okay, so you eat similar meals week in, week out?
Yeah, like on breakfast, I always like Greek yogurt, seeds and nuts, and some berries. That's always my breakfast. And then I have issues with dates. I eat a lot of dates. I come from a country of dates. As you can see, there's a date tree there.
That's cool.
It's not good for my teeth. I've suffered with that, but I eat a lot of dates. So that's my breakfast with nuts and seeds. And then, yeah, some fruit. And then lunch is always a salad. So it's very repetitive. But if I'm at home, then I'll make fancy meals, or weekends and all that. Everything goes.
Do you eat the same time every day? Is it very structured like that?
Yeah, my breakfast is always like at a certain time of day at work, where it's downtime, that we eat around 8 o'clock. And my dinner is as soon as I get home. So I eat dinner by 4 o'clock. I've eaten dinner. It's done. I brush my teeth. I'm done. And then weekends again, non-structured. Anything goes. If there's guests, we'll wait. We'll pick out together. If there's nobody coming, then we'll just have something boring to eat or whatever.
Sorry, I want to
Yeah.
make sure I understood. You said at 4 p.m. You mean you're done,
I've eaten, I've cleaned the dishes, I've packed lunches, I'm done
and that means,
eating.
is that dinner done 4 o'clock
Yeah.
for the day? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The kids come from school, they're hungry. I come from work, I'm hungry. I've had a salad for lunch, which is not very filling. It's mainly to get my vegetables in. So we just eat when we're hungry, and then we tend to eat our vegetables as a family.
that's funny.
So otherwise, if you give them a snack, then they'll be whining. We don't want to eat this, we don't want to eat that. But if they're hungry, they'll just eat it and we'll be done.
What's your take on intermittent fasting for women, whether they're young or premenopausal or menopausal, and just for people in general? Do you have an idea about that and whether you recommend it?
So I don't know about gender specific. I do hear like for women it's harder to, especially around menstruation time or whatever. But I like for me, I guess 4 o'clock to 8 a.m. That's a good chunk of time. That's a 16/8. I just didn't know that was called intermittent fasting, because I didn't think that when you're sleeping not eating that would be called fasting. So I've done that always, since as long as I can remember, because I've eaten when I was hungry, and that was when I wanted to eat. And after that in the evening, I just didn't want to eat, even if we would go visit someone or there would be meals or whatever. So I think that's should be a baseline. Like you shouldn't have to be constantly looking for food, and I think that kind of regulates your appetite. And then in terms of what I'm learning about it now, like it's really important to regulate your blood sugar, so you're not constantly causing insulin spikes throughout the day, having snacks, eating late meals. And also for sleep wise, if you have a full stomach, it's not ideal for sleep, especially if someone has sleep apnea or if they're overweight. Then that makes it even worse, because then you have a full stomach on top of the added weight. It's just difficult to breathe. You'll probably wake up without knowing and not getting good sleep. So at least I would say minimum 4 hours. Three, they say 3 hours, but I would go more. 4 hours at least before bed from your last meal, and then eat when you're hungry. Like it's, I think the culture is just here. It's very snack driven. Like people pack snacks. There's almost an anxiety. Like moms go out, they have to have snacks for the kids. Like you don't have to constantly walk around with food. It's not eat and then eat when you're sitting down. That I find I'm really enforcing that with the kids, because I don't want them just walk around and just grabbing things. You don't really enjoy it. You just stuff your face with it. And but if you sit down, you enjoy the meal, you put a plate down, it's like a treat. So your body knows you've eaten and you feel more satisfaction from that. So I always say, respect the food, sit down for it, don't just grab it. So just small things like that. And then back to the fasting, I guess I do give the kids another fruit snack after the dinner time. So they're not exactly done at 4, but I am because I'm done, I'm full. But yeah, I think those are a few things. And intermittent fasting, I think that should be a no-brainer. It's very simple. If you follow it throughout, then you only be hungry at mealtime and you don't eat when it's not mealtime.
You brought something up, and I was just curious, actually, just to get your opinion on it. So for me, I do mixed martial arts in the evening as well, right? So I do
Nice.
the fitness stuff during the day, early morning, and then I'll
Yeah,
train in the evening. Just depends on the week. Sometimes it's 5 days a week, sometimes it's not. Just depends.
that's
But the
amazing.
problem is when I get home, I'm starving, especially if I'm doing like
Yeah,
wrestling or something. And so I end up
yeah,
eating late, like late as
yeah,
8, 9 o'clock, and then I'm trying to get to bed
yeah,
about 10, 11. And there
yeah.
is times where I know I'm not resting as well as I should because I can feel the food in my stomach.
The weight of the
Yeah,
food.
and
Yeah.
so I've tried, okay, I'm not gonna eat, but then I wake up and I'm starving, and then I can't quite find the balance. So I don't know. I just thought maybe I ask your opinion on it, see what you think.
So
Because
when do you eat breakfast after your training?
breakfast I eat when I'm hungry, usually between 11 or 1, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Typically like 1 o'clock, and then
And then dinner is at 8, 9?
this is typical. 1 o'clock, I'll
Yeah,
eat breakfast, whatever that is.
yeah,
And then I might have a snack, 1 or 2 snacks. I just eat when I'm hungry. Maybe at three
yeah,
o'clock, 5 o'clock, I'll have a small snack before class, the evening class.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
dinner, which just happens to be like the biggest meal, which is probably my mistake, is like at 9. And then I'm trying to go
okay.
to bed at 10, 11. And sometimes
So, but you can't eat your dinner before your class because you're gonna probably vomit, right?
that's not I won't vomit. I'll be sluggish.
I'm joking.
I might if I do wrestling. But yeah, so that's the problem. I want to eat this big meal, but before class, it doesn't work either. So it's my biggest meal is now breakfast, which is fine.
Okay.
But then in
Yes.
the evening, I'm still starving. So I'm like, this only
So I
happens
would
when I
switch.
train.
And how long before your martial arts do you eat the snack?
Oh, probably within like about an hour, give or take. Sometimes even half hour, because it's a small snack. It might be oatmeal. It might be a protein shake. It's something that I can tolerate. It doesn't affect my training at all. I try not to eat anything too heavy, and I try to be within like an hour, give or take.
So I'm trying to think because if you up your calories and your protein in the day, which is going to be your breakfast and your lunch, maybe even your snack, so you can have a lighter dinner.
Yeah,
Maybe try that. Unless you can eat your dinner a little bit earlier than the snack and make that snack your now dinner. Unless that's a family thing, then I'll keep it. If that's your family time to sit down together, then I wouldn't touch that time. But if it didn't have social impact, then I would make the snack dinner, just have it a little bit earlier to give it a 2 hour window before your martial arts.
yeah,
And up your calories for especially protein for the breakfast and lunch. Eat more.
yeah. I like
So
that.
that way,
I'm gonna try to reverse it with dinner earlier in the day because it's something that I've had a little bit of a challenge with, right? Because I'm
yeah,
trying to not eat. First of all, not too heavy in the night. And then second of
yes,
all,
yeah,
not too close to actual bedtime because there's times where I literally can't sleep because I'm just too
yeah. It's
full.
like,
Not
yeah, I
full,
sleep
but I'm
too
like,
fast.
I just ate. So I'm like, ugh, it messes me
Yeah,
up. So, anyways,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to see if maybe I could have dinner for lunch, whatever. And
And add like seeds and nuts, like something healthy. Add more fat protein to your breakfast lunch to up your calories. To you're not hungry at that time. Also, so if you really must eat, you can have a light salad or something light, like whatever it is. Yeah.
what do you do for work?
So I am a respiratory therapist and anesthesia assistant. So we're called certified clinical anesthesia assistant. So basically, we do everything anesthesia in the operating room. And then I can also work in ICU and do ventilation. So when you hear like ventilator, all that stuff during COVID, that was us.
Oh wow.
So we all went back to ICU and we did all the ventilators and everything to do with COVID.
And in your training, and I would imagine ongoing training and education, are there best practices for preventative maintenance as far as our breathing or lung capacity, all these things are concerned?
It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what you
Okay.
do. Don't smoke, don't drink, eat your protein, go to sleep. It's honestly, it all goes back to that hypertension, type 2 diabetes, blood sugar regulation, your quality of sleep, all of that. It's like a low hanging fruit if you practice the just eating and sleep and fitness.
So, with respect to different breathing protocols, for example, I'm sure you've heard of Wim Hof, right? Have you heard of Wim
Yeah.
Hof? Yeah. His whole Wim Hof breathing. Are you familiar with it?
Is that the box breathing and there's
It's not
um
box breathing. It's basically hyperventilation, right? So you're hyperventilating. And you do that for about 30 breaths, in, out, not forcing, but you take deep breath in, deep breath out, like just
yeah,
repetitive. And then
yeah,
you exhale. And at the end of the exhalation, you hold. And
yeah,
typically you do 3 sets of that, sometimes more. It's very popular. Apparently, it
yeah,
does help increase people's lung capacity. It does have a
yeah,
direct or some kind of a correlation with their VO2 max, and
yeah.
that's a big indicator of longevity. Is there any types of breathing exercises that in your profession, okay, when people do this, it seems to really improve their conditions or prevent catastrophic things
Yeah.
from happening should they fall ill or something?
Medically speaking, like we usually be dealing with people who already not have been doing any preventative methods. So you have people with COPD, with asthma, chronic lung disease from post-COVID syndrome, all those things. So at the hospital, the physiotherapist, that's usually where they go. We see like the mechanical ventilation, which is the very sick end of things. From physiotherapy perspective, they usually give them a device where it encourages them to take deeper breaths. And from our end, we usually just encourage a lot of abdominal breathing. So most people don't know that when you take a deep inhalation, it's through the nose where it's being moisturized with the mucosa from the nose. And then you exhale from your mouth. And then we teach them, the patients with the COPD, we teach them to pursed lip breathing. So they have to close their lips as they exhale to hold some pressure back to keep their lungs inflated. But these are more medical, not somebody that goes to a gym and tries to improve their VO2 max. The other breathing that you're talking about is mostly, I would say, preventative and
Right.
health and cardio and fitness. It's next level. So we don't see that in our profession.
What is the proper way to breathe?
Inhale through your nose slowly.
I'm not trying to be a smart ass.
No, I see it every day. It's not a bad question. It's every day when I tell, like, I put a needle in someone, I tell them take a deep breath. They don't actually know until I watch and I teach them every day. So inhale through your nose. When you're inhaling, your abdomen comes out. So pretend your belly button's coming out, and then exhale through your mouth, and then you want to draw in your belly buttons, and then full exhalation, and again. So when your lungs inflate, you want your diaphragm to come down. So when your diaphragm comes down, your belly should come out. And then when you exhale, your belly sucks back in and diaphragm goes up and then the air comes out and usually through the mouth. But you want to inhale through the nose.
So for people that are trying that, is there any cues that they can or any other techniques that they can use
So I
with
tell
that?
them like hold your hand on your belly button so you could feel it come out. So I tell them it's pretend it's like a plunger that sucks the air through the nose and then you push it back in and the air comes out through. It's like a seesaw with the belly button and the air coming through the nose and the mouth.
Why do you think it's such a pervasive habit that most people are not breathing, like what they
Not
call
aware.
shallow
Yeah.
breathing? Is that what they the
Yeah, because
term?
most people just, and then especially with anxiety or you're about to have a needle, and like anybody anxious, you tend to just shallow breathe. They don't think it's an instinct. But to deep breathe is not natural, really. Like you have to teach your body. And the consequences actually does calm down your hormones. Like it's way deeper than just the oxygen that you're getting. So your brain thinks, okay, yeah, no, I'm okay. The lion's not going to eat me. I can breathe. So it does tend to slow things down. And when I have patients on a monitor, I tell them, look at your heart rate, watch it come down while you're doing this. And they're all surprised. Wow, there's way more physiological effect than just when somebody tells you, oh, take a deep breath. It's not just a deep breath. There's way more to it.
I'm one of those people that suffers from white coat syndrome. If I have to take my blood pressure in front of a doctor, I get
Yeah.
so anxious. I've always been like that. And the fact that I'm thinking about, okay, don't be anxious makes me even more anxious. It'll look like I'm borderline about to have a heart attack. And then I can, you know, calm myself down. I don't know what other markers it can change so rapidly. So you're saying using your diaphragm to expand as you inhale and then
Yeah.
retracting it. I got to practice that.
I'm sure you got it. Especially with martial arts, because you had to do that so your opponent doesn't know you're in a weak spot.
The thing is, I
It'd
think
be a nice
I
thing.
do it well while I'm training, but when I'm just
Yeah.
relaxing, sometimes I will catch myself if I'm writing or reading where I'm like, oh, I'm not even breathing. Like it's so shallow. And it's just a habit. So I've been more
Yeah.
conscious. So I'm glad we're talking about this. Do things like swimming or any other activities like that improve the way people breathe?
Yeah, it will definitely increase your functional residual capacity, like your lungs
Right.
are better adapted. Your VO2 max comes up. That's because of the cardio. So yeah, like something like swimming, you're forced to regulate the breathing. So and then that's like adversity. So your body adapts and can hold your breath longer.
Do you recommend any supplements or do you take any supplements yourself?
I take vitamin D religiously and magnesium at night. Recently, I started taking some creatine. It's a low hanging fruit. It's no calories added. I like to eat, so I like to eat most of my nutrition from food. I think I get good protein. I know most people don't. It is really hard to get a lot of protein in your diet. So I just thought the creatine will be added benefit for muscle growth. So I do take it on the days that I lift in the morning. Aside from that, I just take vitamin C added if I feel like I have a cold coming on or something. And B complex once in a while. I should take it more. I think I do need B complex. I don't eat as much variety of grains as I should. So I do need B complex. I think that's for me, but very individualized. I do like ashwagandha once in a while. It's a nice supplement. I do find I sleep really well when I take it at night, if I remember it, but that's a nice to have supplement.
What kind of magnesium do you take?
I take magnesium citrate. Yeah,
And how
it's just
much?
nice. I take 150 or 300,
And
give or
that's
take.
like before bed to help you sleep?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. And for the vitamin D, is it just the full D complex, or do you take like vitamin D3? So
D3. I think they make them D with vitamin K now, which is supposed to help improve absorption. When I run out, I'll probably look for that.
the vitamin D3, is it because in Canada, I know very well, we don't get
Yeah.
sunshine, but for 9 months of the year, we're getting dark clouds and
Okay.
so
Yeah. Clouds. Even in the sun, especially with darker skin, you don't get as much absorbed. So I would not even test it. Just assume you're deficient if you're not taking it. And if I tell people, unless you live in a nudist colony at the equator, you should be taking vitamin D.
how much do
Yeah.
you take of it?
I take about 3,000 a day. I give the kids about 1,000. I know I tested my son a while ago because he was having some other blood tests, and I thought, why not? And I was supplementing and he was still low. So I think there's absorption might be an issue for some people. So I had to up his dose, even though I was giving more than recommended. So for myself, I take about 3,000 a day. But I think my husband's side, they don't absorb as much. They have much darker skin also. So I don't know if it's something genetic, but if there are prescription ones that they give sometimes, like some people are so deficient that the prescription one is 28,000 you take once a week. It's a nice convenient dose, but I would just buy over the counter and take it. It's simple. They're drops, so you don't have to worry about stomach upset or swallowing a pill or whatever.
Right.
They have drops.
Are you a proponent of avoiding certain types of foods? Let's say if you eat meat, for example, do you try to get like grass fed or hormone fed or pesticide free fruits and
I'll
vegetables?
definitely
Like
do
what's your
that when I win the lottery. That'll be my next step. But for now,
very
I
expensive?
can eat the squirrels. They're pretty organic. So it's ideal, to be honest. Like it's great. It's obviously like the cost is a huge issue, I'm sure, for most people, because like it's a huge difference if you find a butcher and you know them and you can get your box of meat or whatever. That would be a nice way to do it, especially with a big family. You can get like big orders. I usually just go to the halal meat shops around and just buy there. I don't really follow organic label as much. I don't think it's as regulated as it should be.
Mm,
Not in Canada, I don't think. Like you can call something organic with 10 ingredients and it could have one organic ingredient and you can still call it organic. So we have a bit of a labeling loopholes that I think our Food and Drug Administration is pretty well aware of, and they allow it.
Yeah.
There were these crackers at Costco that are called sweet potato crackers, and it has 11% sweet potato. So when I called them, I said, "Why is this allowed?" They said, "This is actually legal as long as you put 11% on your ingredient list."
Yeah.
So you're allowed to call something chia seed cracker and have 1% chia seed in it. As long as you list the 1%, it's actually legal in Canada to do that. I have a huge issue with our food labeling. So I would say, to keep things simple, you have to cook, you have to do groceries, you have to shop in the produce aisle. Then when it comes down to meat, whatever you can afford, ideally organic grass fed would be the way to go. But even those farmers, I don't think, if their cattle gets, if one of them gets sick, they're all going to get antibiotics by the prescribed by the vet, because to prevent them. So that's going to be there. I don't, that's not legal. If your cows are sick, you can give them antibiotic, but guess what? It has some nice financial benefit for them because they would gain weight and all that. So they can sell more meat. So I could see a lot of loopholes there, although it's, they say we're not supposed to give them antibiotics to gain weight in Canada, but I think there's loopholes there. So I would just keep it simple. You need protein, you eat your protein. We absorb nutrition better, unfortunately, from, I know there's the vegan argument there, but we absorb better from animal-based products, according to a lot of the experts. So yeah, and then focus on the produce, fruits and vegetables. Your vitamins and everything depends on it. I don't eat as much grains. I just find I don't really care for the taste as much, and it's just added calories. I would rather eat nuts and seeds, which is very heavy in the calorie aisle. So I try to focus on those because I think it has more nutrition and good fats. I don't buy anything fat free. I always read ingredients. So anytime I'm at the grocery, I never go for 2 minutes. And especially if I'm buying something I haven't bought before, I would go through the entire list of ingredients. I don't buy much bread. I don't buy kids cereal. I don't buy. So the middle, basically, you shop around, not in the middle where all the box aisles are. But if you shop outside of it, where the fridge and the fresh fruits and vegetables are, then you know you're doing
Right.
your grocery.
I never thought of that with respect to if the animal gets sick, they're obviously going to need antibiotics or something.
Yeah.
I know with the whole organic thing, I used to be a huge proponent of it. And
Yeah.
then I got to know certain people that work in the industry. And even as far as the grocery store itself, sometimes they make errors or they just don't care. And they will put
No,
something as organic when it's not.
and there's a lot of organic farms that are just not buying the label, and they're actually organic. They just don't want to spend money, and they have their own clients. So if you find one of those, are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Even if it's organic, they still get sprayed with pesticides. There's a lot of these
Yeah,
little loopholes, like you say. So I stopped
yeah. So
caring
I
as much. I'm starting to
yeah,
think it's a scam industry, to be honest.
keep it simple.
Keep
Shop
it
on the
simple.
outside of the grocery,
Yeah.
not not the
Yeah. I
aisles.
agree.
As
I
long as you
agree.
do that, you're okay. Yeah,
And go local. Try to find local farms if you can. That's probably your best bet because when you get to know a
yeah,
lot of these farmers, a lot of them, the local ones are great. They'll educate you on it too. They'll tell you straight up. By the way, this is a scam, and here's why. And I've learned a
yeah,
lot just talking to
yeah,
like local farmers. Holy shit, I didn't know it was that deep.
yeah,
Not a conspiracy. So, in your take, this podcast and the topics we're surrounding is more so for the respect to longevity, living a longer, healthier life. Not necessarily trying to extend the life, but to extend the quality of life, so to speak.
yeah, yeah,
In your
yeah.
opinion, what do you think is the most important aspects to longevity?
I think I would have to highlight stress
Stress.
overall. It sounds like it's not in control, but I think it's a lot more controllable than we think. Like, just to let go of things you can't change and focus on all your energy on things that you can make better in your life. Focus on the moment, focusing on stop and smell the roses type of idea, and just enjoying the Monday to Friday, not just looking for the Saturday, Sunday, even if not. Some people just don't see the positive in everyday things and stop and appreciate it. And I think that's really important, because I feel with the amount of, like, with the society now, like, there's so much happening, and then there's so much engagement on social media, watching everyone else live their life, but people forget to stop and live their own. Stress has a huge, like, every time you stress, you're releasing 38 different hormones in your body that are going to impact your health in a negative way. Some people stress over the fact that their blood pressure is high, but actually stressing over the blood pressure is what makes the blood pressure go high. So I think it's just that whole snowball of things that happens behind the scene. I think that's really big thing that people can focus on nowadays. It's because I think that will have the biggest impact on everything else that you do all day. Whether it's fitness, like some people stress over getting their workouts, but the workout is supposed to take away your stress because it's supposed to relax you, but they don't. They like a lot of people, they don't see the in the moment. Like you could enjoy the workout itself. Like you can put on your nice playlist. You can go with a friend, maybe not necessarily. You can have an accountability buddy or make it a challenge, learn something there, or learn to do a squat today or something like that. So just smaller, like breaking things down to small steps, enjoying the smaller things, I think is probably the number one thing I would focus on. And then, of course, nutrition, and then the quality of your exercise. And you can play with that as you go and make that a journey and a lifestyle. The exercise, I would say, would be, to me, is the easiest part because I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. But I think if you don't, you can make it something enjoyable. Just reward yourself, whether it's music, you listen to a podcast, or you watch a movie, or do something, add it on that makes you want to do it again next day and next day.
And what about sleep? How important do you think sleep is
If you
in the whole mix of
if
things?
you target those goals, sleep will naturally come because if you're overweight, it's harder to sleep. If you're not regulating your glucose and you're eating all day, it's going to be harder to sleep. If you are stressing over why your garden looks worse than your neighbor, then it's the stress going to cause all the negative impacts. But I think if you start from the top, being I'm gonna find things that are stressing me out. I'm gonna find ways to work around them or focus on other things that will, take my mind off what I cannot change. And then number two would be like, okay, I'm gonna eat better because eating actually is like 80% of the success. Exercise, I would say, and everything else would be the other 20%. So you more focus on your food, eating better. Once you eat better, it'll be easier to exercise. It'll be easier to fall asleep because you're not nutritious, you're nourished, you don't have deficits in nutrients. And then, so I feel it's just everything else will follow.
Do you track your macros or your calories like
I
that?
don't. Once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I'm eating too much. Why can't I stop? I'm going to track it. And I'll track for 3 days and then I'll stop. It's a great tool. If some people are, they really, it encourages them, it motivates them, then that's great. Personally, I don't. I would say 99%. The 1% where I'm frustrated and I hate that I'm constantly looking for dessert, which I have been a lot better lately. And I think, so yeah, I haven't, but I've used like my Fitness Pal in the past. I think that's really great tool for people, especially like it will tell you, oh, this is nutritious, this is not. I like, because I don't like good or bad. Like every food is still food. You just want to focus on what you can eat more of as opposed to cut things.
Okay. So you don't necessarily track too much, you just go with how you're feeling. And you did touch on this earlier where you're encourage being present, focusing on your food, like listening, which I think is
Yeah.
a huge tip because if you're distracted, a lot of people watch something while they're eating and they're talking and you're not listening to your body telling you like, hey, I'm good, I'm not hungry anymore, and you just keep eating and eating. And I
Yeah.
find that
Yeah.
when I'm present and not distracted, I can feel like, okay, I'm good. My plate might not be empty yet, but I know I'm good. I don't need to finish the plate. How are you making sure that you are getting enough protein?
I kind of look an average, like what I eat most. So I try to get like 30 grams for breakfast based on my weight. So I do get two eggs, that's about 15, and then about 100 or whatever grams of, I don't weigh stuff, but people can. I know people who swear by it. It's more accurate and it ensures that you are getting what you think you are. But I about maybe half a cup of Greek yogurt. There's like another 20-gram there, and then the bunch of seeds, nuts and seeds, which all of it have protein. So I put variety just to make sure I'm getting a little bit of everything. So that's my breakfast. So I make sure I get that at least a 30-gram there, which keeps me full. And then lunch is basically to get my vitamins and minerals from the salad or and a fruit. And then dinner would be more protein. So it'll be some kind of, whether it's fish or chicken or beef, and some carbs, like maybe some rice, some more vegetables. So on average, that's how I see it. So I average is over the week. And then on the weekend, if I have treats or I have whatever, I still have treats every day. I still have. something sweet, and then dates are
I was about to say, I know you love your dates, so
dates. Dates at least about maybe 10 a day. If you're crossing the desert on foot, it's very nutritious. But if you're driving your car to the gym, no, not really. It's okay if you eat three, but not 10.
I've used dates as my pre-workout. I'll go, I know I'm going to wrestle for long and I'll eat a bunch of dates maybe 20 minutes
It's
before. I love it.
yeah.
But I'm sure it's high in sugar or whatever, but it's whatever.
It's yeah, but it does have a lot of minerals and fiber and everything. So
And tastes good.
I
I'm
love
team
it.
dates too, don't worry. I like dates.
Oh, perfect.
I love dates. It's in the smoothie too. Oh my God.
You can make it. Oh, okay. I'll stop there.
That's funny. So back to your stress and stuff, because I'm curious. When you say stress, obviously, I think you're referring to like emotional distress, right? Managing your
Yeah,
emotions and things like that. So I guess like the strong, quote unquote, negative emotions like anger, or resentment, or just fear, and these things. What
yeah.
you seem like, this is just my assumption. You seem like somebody who's very happy, somebody easygoing. It seems like you typically have a pretty pleasant personality. That's always been my, even
Thank
in person.
you.
So it seems to
Thank
me
you.
like that seems like your
Yeah.
personality. It doesn't seem, it just seems like it comes natural to you. Is that fair to say, or is it something that you've had to work on and cultivate?
I think a little bit of both. Like maybe a lot of it is like personality, but I do a lot of times actively have to be like, okay, this thing's stressing me out. I need to shift my focus. I can't do anything about it. I can't change it. Like I always say to the kids, don't waste your energy on things you can't change. Just
Mhm.
next, like focus on whatever you can make better. Put your energy there. So I do go off track, but then I always have to redirect myself with whether it's stop and take deep breaths and just pause your thoughts and do nothing else, or cardio pump, get your heart rate up, all the endorphins will calm you down,
Right.
or go out with the kids, do something fun, or just go out for a walk in nature, paddleboard or whatever, go on the lake.
Do you?
So just finding fun things to distract me if there is something very stressful. But overall, like I try not to waste energy in things that upsetting or I can't change at the moment. Or you still have to certain level of stress is healthy because you want to be motivated, you want to
Yes.
make change in every day. So it's a hard balance, but I hate when people waste, they say, their energy on spilled milk. The milk's spilled, you can't get it back. So mop it and move on. So I think those are the type of things that I think. And then the other thing I find a lot of people like they watch other people's lives on social media, which is not their life really. It's just snippets of
Mhm.
what they've worked for years. And then they compare themselves and they feel down on themselves, which is the grass is not greener on the other side. Not everyone has it together. Everyone has things that they can't fix. They're not going to post that on anywhere. So I find a lot of people's energy is wasted there, that they just compare themselves to others. This person's making progress, I'm not. This person has this, I don't. So I think people have to just live in the moment, appreciate what they have, because everyone has a little bit of good and there's always bad everywhere. So I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. A lot of people do post their highlight reel, literally.
Highlights,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the greatest hits. And so
Yeah, yeah.
I saw
They worked like
these are
100 years and then they post a diploma. It's
yeah,
like
it's like these are
you just
just the
tested your
greatest hits,
life.
man. They're getting into
Yeah,
accidents, they have issues, they have family that have upsetting them or what. Nobody's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
You mentioned you were a personal trainer at one point, and even just outside of being a personal trainer in general, for somebody who's looking to adopt a healthier lifestyle, things like that, is there any tips that you, just from your life experience from interacting with your family and friends, things that maybe even you wish you did that would make it easier for them to go from a sedentary lifestyle to one that's active and more so building the habits? Because I think it's all
yeah.
about the habit. Like
I would say
for
habits.
yourself,
Yeah,
for me, for myself too, it's all these things are like at this point, it's just almost beyond habit. It's an identity. Like it's just who I am.
yeah,
Even when
yeah,
I'm sick, I'm every part of me is, man, I can't wait to get back. I don't feel
yeah,
like myself. So what would you
yeah,
recommend for people who are like, I want to eat better, sleep better, exercise, and they
yeah,
just can't seem to get themselves going or be consistent? Do you have any
yeah.
tips?
So I would say like easiest thing would be focus on the food first. So if somebody is trying to be healthy overall, whether it's they're trying to lose a few pounds for their health or bring down their blood pressure or their glycemic index is out of control or any of those. So you want to start at food, because no matter what, you have to cook. You're gonna have to grocery shop. You're gonna have to do that. So if you're someone who doesn't like cook or grocery shop, I would start there. So once they have that and they pack their meals and they eat what they pack, I would leave all my spending cards and cash at home, so I don't have that option. And then I only eat what I'm packing to get into that habit, because you're gonna have cravings. If you've been eating bagel all your life, you're gonna want that bagel the day you're packing a salad. So I'll leave my credit card home. I'll take the salad. I'll only eat the salad. So I would like, or whatever is healthy. I'm just saying salad as an example. So I'll focus on the nutrition. Once you have nutrition, then I would take a challenge of learning exercises. So, for example, this week I'm going to learn to do something. In the process of learning, you're going to tend to work and you're going to work your muscle. And then once you learn that one exercise, then I'll move on to the next one. But I would dedicate the time to do that as an appointment. So I'll put that in my calendar. I will not miss it. I'll tell everyone I have an appointment. I got to go, whatever's coming up. So I would go and do that. So I would not skip it, whether it's early in the morning like I do, or if it's like between your work time or your home time. We live in a big city, so commute is an issue. I find if you go early to work and go to a gym close to your work, which is what I used to do before, then you're saving the commute time and using it towards your gym time. It's like a savings account for time. So you can do something like that. Try to figure out creative ways to squeeze that time in, but whatever it is, make it like an appointment. You cannot miss it. And then set timelines. Break it down to small steps. Make a gym bag or get a nice gym outfit that will make you happy. You want to wear it. New pair of running shoes. Like, it could be very simple things that can get people motivated. You can download apps. You can track your nutrition. Make sure you're getting all the nutrition in. Start taking some vitamins. You're going to feel better about yourself, whether it's placebo effect or it's for real. But placebo is pretty strong. It's a 20% free. A lot of people say, oh, it's just placebo. It's good. You're getting free 20% without side effects. So I think people undervalue that. Let it be placebo. It's fine. They feel better. And
Totally
then I
agree.
think once you get all of that, then I would, the sleep, I think, always would come naturally. I feel if you worked hard, you've eaten well, you're going to be tired at that time. You do want to wind down, limit screen time. It's really somebody else's vacation is not your business unless you guys are going out together and you're friends and you can show pictures, you can talk about it, you can tell a story, you can socialize. We're all hardwired to socialize, which is why this social media is so powerful, because we're hardwired to see these things. But I think it takes away from the moment. A lot of times we don't realize, and then we're like, oh, time flies, the week just flew by. But were you there? Did you look around you in the lunchroom? How many people are on their phones? Did you have any conversations during lunchtime? 99% everyone's been on their phone during lunchtime. No one socialized, no one had a conversation. But we're hardwired to do that, so we're very against our nature. But feeding off of that, those hardwired thoughts that we have, we need to be socializing. But unfortunately, the psychology of these app builders is way stronger than everyone else's willpower and nature. Yeah, so I think, but yeah, I would talk to maybe life coaches, wellness coaches, fitness trainers, anything, or a friend to keep accountable. But now there's so many free apps. I think the hard part is people don't know where to start. But break it down to small things. Take a small target. Like, what is it you want to really change? Is it your sleep that's bothering you? Is it your sugar that came back in a bad number at your doctor's appointment? Is it so then you can just have that as your target, and then just small steps. New pair of running shoes, learning one exercise, learn to do a squat. So those are all like small steps, and then just build new habits over time.
I
Yeah.
like that a
So
lot. So, do you track your progress by way of writing your workouts, to taking pictures, measuring yourself, checking the scale, things
um,
like that? Do you track any of that, or you just go?
I don't, the only time I weigh myself is when I'm traveling and I'm weighing my scale. I'm like, yay, I got a scale. Let me weigh myself.
That's funny.
And then when we come back, I put the luggage away. I'm like, oh, the scale is still there. Let me weigh myself again and see if I've gained or lost weight. But I've been pretty much consistent weight for many years. Like, I could easily lose 10 pounds to go back to, I don't know, my teen years or whatever. I don't know. Last I weighed myself or cared about my weight. But now I think I'm mostly interested in how many pull ups I can do, or whether I can
Performance,
stand up on the surfboard, or
right?
if I can chase my kids or outrun them. And like, these are my measuring values that I care most about. So over time, I find I'm really not interested if I weigh 150 or if I weigh 130. And that's actually probably where my weight fluctuates over time. So winter, I call it, oh, it's my winter weight. I'm probably not going to wear my jeans all winter, but I can pull them out in the summer and my summer weight will be smaller. But yeah, I actually don't wear jeans also. I have a couple, I hate them. It's not comfortable. So I can't say I fit into my clothes or I'm certain size or whatever. I don't really measure that.
Yeah, no, it goes back to what I said about your personality. Seems like a very pleasant personality, very like easygoing, and it seems like you approach that even in your fitness. You're just
Yeah.
enjoying the process, and
Yeah,
you have
basically, yeah.
performance
But
goals.
it's some people enjoy like they love trying. It works for them. So if it works for you, go all out. Whether you want to weigh yourself, you want to measure yourself, or take pictures, like those are all great tools, especially for somebody who's starting a journey. Like for me, it's lifestyle.
Yes.
I'm not going to work out more or less because I don't want to work out less. And if I worked out anymore, I'd probably like miss work or something. So either way, I think I've been a okay balance. The only thing I need is stop eating dates.
I'm assuming you don't smoke, drink, any of that
No
stuff.
smoking, no drinking,
Nice.
no.
No
I
casual
am
sips
asthmatic,
of
so
wine
I
or anything.
nothing, no, zero. I'm Muslim, so we don't drink
Oh,
growing
okay.
up.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, we don't drink. No alcohol in the house. Even all inclusive, we don't drink.
I pretty much live the same way. I'll have a drink here and there. I never really was much of a drinker to begin with, but I might have
That's
a
amazing.
beer here and there. I go months without a sip of alcohol. So for me, it's to get rid of it is not a, I won't even notice. It doesn't require
That's
any
great.
willpower. And I don't smoke either. We're on the hour. We can keep going, but I just have one question. I got this one from Tim Ferriss. I'm sure you've heard of Tim Ferriss.
No,
Okay. Anyways, he's a famous podcaster guy, but he has a question he asks his guests, and he says, "If I'm probably going to butcher the way he says it, but it's like if there was a billboard that could have one quote or saying of yours on it, what would it be? That's all you could have. That's left of after you've passed and everything, and there's a quote from you, and everybody will read it as they drive by." And I'll even frame it to say within the context of longevity, like health and fitness. What would it say?
I guess this would be cheating. I would say stop and smell the roses. I think that's my goal.
Stop and smell the
I wish
roses.
I heard that. So yeah, it's slow down. Like I think I'm most guilty of it. Like I have to teach myself to slow down because we brought up gotta run, gotta do this, do that, and but now it's no, don't rush, stop, don't swallow your food, sit down and chew it.
Sit down and chew it.
I would say just
I
to
thought you were
slow
gonna say
down.
eat more dates.
That would have been yes. I didn't think of that. Okay, I'll put that.
Eat more dates. Yeah, but that's great. That's great advice. So it goes back to that philosophy of just enjoy this precious.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally like I have
I
to
love that.
tell myself all the time. Yeah, it's I'm very guilty of it. So I think that's why to me it's a hard thing to do. It's not to sit in a sauna and just think of your breathing. Who does that? Like it's so hard.
Yeah,
So I have to teach myself. It's hard to learn these things because we're in a go-go society environment, you name
right.
it.
And do you journal or anything?
I don't. I have so many thoughts I should. I have always said, "Oh, I want to write," because we have like very interesting story where we came to Canada and all of that, and then now it's evolved to being a mom and then the kids and watching them grow. And there's so much that yeah, ideally, I think I would like to definitely. I just don't.
Yeah. I'll make a recommendation for you. There's a journal called the 5 Minute Journal,
Hmm.
and it literally is 5 minutes. And in the morning and in the evening, it just asks you a few questions, just one
Is
line
it like
each.
an app?
No, it's an actual physical book, which is, I
Oh,
think,
cool.
important. And I think it's a great way to start writing.
That's nice.
It's more so building on the habit of doing it. So even if it takes you literally, takes 2, 3 minutes in the morning, two,
Okay,
three
I'm
minutes
gonna
at
get
night,
that. Okay,
five
five
minute
five.
journal. And I actually got it for my daughter. And what I did was I bought her like this really high end, whatever. It was like almost like $100 pen.
Yeah.
Right. I know it's just a pen, but the pen's really cool. And what I've noticed is just by her having this pen, it makes her want to use it. And I told her this pen is just for this journal. Like this is the rule of my gift. You have to use it for just this journal. So she's starting to use it because she
Oh,
loves
that's
the
so
pen.
cool.
I
That's
didn't
very
tell her. I
cool.
just wanted to build the habit of journaling in the day and night because then it's
Nice.
easy to build on that habit versus, oh, for 30 minutes a night. That's too much. No one's going to do that. So,
Yeah,
anyways, just a thought. It's a 5 minute journal.
definitely. I like that.
Anyone listening,
I'll look
it's
into
great. I've used it, and it did help start like a habit of journaling. I don't do it every day. I would say most days though. I'll go, 2, 3,
it. Okay.
4 months where I don't miss a day, and I might miss a day if I'm not feeling well or something. But even if it's
Do you ever go
one,
back? How often do you go back and read
uh,
it?
I would say maybe at the end of the year during holidays, I'll go and look.
Yeah.
And even my workouts, like I'll look at workouts when I was like 16, 17.
Oh,
It
wow.
was like 20 over
Yeah.
20 years ago. Um,
But I think just the act of writing it down will reinforce that memory. So I think it will just
oh,
it,
for
it
sure.
has value there, even if you don't read it.
Absolutely. But just
Yeah.
to help organize your thoughts. So like a question might be, what are you grateful for today? And there's just three small lines. So you can't
Yeah.
sit here and write this long thing. You have to put like a point
Yeah.
form. And one thing might be like, oh, this conversation. I'm grateful for having this
Yeah.
conversation. And like
Yeah.
that, it might seem stupid or what's the big deal, but it really does reinforce like that stop and smell the roses idea that you're,
Yeah. I like that. Okay.
because you're taking the time to be grateful for something,
Okay.
and your brain's looking for, oh, this is actually something I could be happy about. And yeah, I agree with
Mhm.
you on your philosophy about like smelling the roses. So
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, so we can wrap it up. I think there's definitely I'm gonna ask you for a part two though, because now I want to get into your, it's probably gonna be too long now, but the next one I'd love to get into your story of back home, and
Oh,
also
how I do.
how you got, well,
Yeah.
because you left me on a cliffhanger. I'm like, what happened?
Oh, lots. That's gonna be a 3 hour episode.
For real? Really? Okay, yeah, no, I want to know. So, yeah, I want to know what your story, how you guys got here, and
I think I posted it. I'll tag you. I'll find
yeah.
it. But still, we can talk 3 hours. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Is there any new technologies that you're aware of or that you're interested in with respect to extending our lives or improving outcomes of diseases? Is there any new technologies that for you, whoa, this could be a big thing down the line?
No, it's still in the works. I don't know of any updates, but I just read a book. It's called Immortality Inc.
Oh, okay.
It's very cool. Yeah. I'm hoping it's at some point, it's mostly in the field of genetics. So I'm hoping they'll have more answers for cancer and everything else. And especially since COVID, because with all the work they did with genetics and the vaccine, all of that. So I think there will be more information from there. But I think the preventative is always going to be good for now. But yeah, that book is really cool. I think they were like talking about what if we could eliminate like the whole how our genetics are programmed to die. What if we could work on that? And they were saying like all these factors that humans can live much longer than we think they can. And they've
Yeah.
done experiments on different species, but I think they're really far, like we're talking decades far from the research,
Right.
but it's very interesting to trigger the thought. But in the meantime, it's what we know already in terms of longevity, which is eat, sleep well, exercise, sauna, deep breathing, meditate. I think those are basics.
Do you do cold plunges or cold showers or anything like that?
Naturally, yes, I surf in Lake Ontario in January.
For real? You surf in Lake Ontario?
I'm
I
learning. I'm not going to call myself that much credit. I'm learning. But I was there day before yesterday and I sucked. So
That's
I'm
hilarious.
determined. I'm
That's
going to
pretty
learn it.
badass of you though. But I'm a little bit weary of Lake Ontario. I don't know, that water grosses me out.
Wow, it's okay. It's nuclear waste. I glow in the dark.
See, that's that attitude is probably better than the person who's afraid to avoid it. That attitude is like, "Oh, I'll glow in the dark."
It's good
So
for immunity. Lots of you
build your
call
immunity. Cool.
actually our beaches are pretty clean, like worldwide in terms of compared to worldwide, like the whole blue flag beach. It's pretty like they test in the summer. It's pretty clean.
Yeah.
But that's equal. I'm pretty sure we have like toxins and all that stuff floating around. I was by the nuclear plant, so I don't know how good they are. I've sent them emails before. I did ask them, I said, how do you ensure that there's no, even very little errors? They're like, oh no, we test the environment, we test this, we test, they send me like a whole report. I'm like, okay. But yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
I don't glow in the dark yet, but I'm looking for it.
It'll suit your personality if you do. So that's cool. All right. Bana, I appreciate you so much. I'm definitely looking forward to part two. I want to know the story. But yeah, if you could tag me on that post
I will, yeah.
You made that
Okay,
okay.
part two, we can start with the story and then we'll go and
Yeah,
talk more about longevity. Definitely more interesting.
sounds good. Do you have anything you want to plug yourself, like a your handles, or websites, anything like that?
I mainly use Instagram to just do my writing. I guess that's where I do my journaling. So I knew I was doing something.
Yeah,
Yes, I
there
do
you
journaling through Instagram.
go.
So that's my creative writing outlet. I don't use other platform. I just haven't. It's not. I should. I tried TikTok. It's too stimulating. I couldn't do it, and then I deleted the app. But yeah, Instagram. My Instagram handle is. I know. Don't make fun of it. It's Bana Fashion, but that was like when I used to have a sense of fashion years ago. So
So Bana, BANAFASHION at Bana Fashion.
yeah,
Yeah, cool.
yeah,
I'll put it
Instagram.
in all the notes. Looking forward to part two. I definitely want to hear the story.
Thank you. And thanks for the conversation. That was lovely.
Thanks so much, Bana.
Me
Okay,
too. Thanks.
bye bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye.